Conspiracies Against Wellness with your host, Janelle Elgaway.
Good evening and welcome to Conspiracies Against Wellness. I'm your host, Janelle Elgaway. If you have a question or comment for a guest, please call in at 415-915-2291. You can also live chat with myself and the audience on our YouTube channel, Conspiracies Against Wellness livestream. Tonight, we have guest Victoria Suan with Con Nation. Victoria is the director of the new film coming out called Being Incurable. Victoria, welcome to Con Nation. How are you this evening?
I'm great. Actually, it's becoming incurable.
Becoming, my bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm glad to be on here. I'm really excited. To talk about the film. It's my first, radio interview, so yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you. So can you please tell me a little bit about yourself and your professional background?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been a videographer for many years now. But I've always had an affinity to do short documentaries, and the past few years I wanted to take it more seriously. So on top of all the commercials and wedding videos I've done, I just felt like I needed to do something more. So so this past year and a half I've been planning and doing Becoming Incurable. It all started with my cousin, and that's how we kind of began covering a couple more people, and so overall it focuses on 3 people with different chronic illnesses.
Okay. So again, the movie's called Becoming Incurable. Well, what is it about exactly? Could you give us a little summary on it?
Becoming Incurable is about following the lives of 3 people who are trying to manage their different diseases and a movement disorder. Mainly, I'm just trying to refer to them as chronic illnesses. But we are kind of going into the lives of a woman named Karis, and she has ankylosing spondylitis, which is a disease that affects her spine. It's a type of arthritis. Also, April is Spondylitis Awareness Month, so she's sharing a lot about that right now. The second individual is Sophia Webster, and she, I knew her back in high school, and she kind of came down with something that she didn't even know about, but much later in the first year of her college, I believe, she was diagnosed officially with Lyme disease, and she has very complex case of Lyme disease. I mean, Lyme disease is complex, but she manages her pain a lot better than she had when she was first diagnosed with it. So, and our third individual is my cousin, and his name is Leo Swan, and he has dystonia. That is a neurological movement disorder, and it's a lot like Parkinson's, but it's just a little different. It affects different parts of the body, different muscle groups. So his back has kind of formed into a hunch. He can't really stand straight or walk. He has muscle spasms, and it's painful, but he's the only way he manages his pain is with narcotics. Luckily, he had a brain surgery that I actually started filming the time when he had brain surgery, so he's doing a lot better now. But as you can see, they're all very vastly different illnesses. But at the same token, there's a lot of things that I found align, how their journeys align. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between them with misdiagnosis and with managing pain, with becoming incurable, I guess, in a way, from starting life out thinking that everything's fine, that they were healthy, much healthier condition until, something happened to them. So that's kind of like the moment that I'm trying to capture, and the journey that I'm sort of trying to show people.
Okay. How did you come up with the name Becoming Incurable?
I came up with that name very early on. I guess I came up with it when, I had a whole list of names, and some were kind of dramatic, some were kind of, just maybe a little bit more fluffy, but I wanted it to be as honest and as objective as I could make a title.
Right.
But kind of encompass what it is, and not give anyone like the wrong impression what this film is. So, I guess it came down to, I was like sure of it when I thought of it, and then I ran it by Karis. I think it was the first thing, and she was like she really liked it. So for me, that was like confirmation.
Well, and that's how it usually is, you just know it when you see it and you hear it. So
right.
I get that. Do you have any family members or friends, or do you have any rare painful diseases or chronic health issues?
Yeah. So I've been healthy all my life. Luckily, I've never had to experience anything. But Leo is the person in my family that really stands out to me. Like, I have a few family members with diabetes, but luckily it's not too chronic for my uncles and stuff. It's not severe. My grandma had cancer, and
I'm so sorry.
So she had that. We have, we kind of have a little history of illness and disease, but the main inspiration was my cousin to make the film, and so he kind of introduced me to the experience of becoming having an incurable disease.
Okay. Now, how long has your cousin had this disease?
So Leo has had dystonia for, I think the onset, like the symptoms began when he was 37, but I believe it's in his genes. It was carried down. It passes each generation. That's what we're sort of believing right now. His grandpa had Parkinson's, and, his dad never had anything, and now, he has this disease, or this movement disorder. So we're thinking it's genetics.
Right.
Or something.
They're finding out that that's what, a lot of people with autoimmune issues and diseases and stuff like that they're actually somebody within your family tree had something at one point. So, yeah, and they're finding out more and more. So what was the whole idea of, like, how did your family view him? I mean, did you guys have, did you believe him always? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that have, rare or complicated health issues, and, they're often isolated and have a lot of issues, and family members and friends don't understand it. So is that how your family viewed him? And is that partly why you wanted to do something like this?
I don't think there was any, drama about it in the family. So he was doing a lot of fitness stuff and kind of turning his health and life around, which is great. And we were like, we're all rooting for him and everything. But then the symptoms were very, they were so mysterious. But we believed him. We believed in him. At the same time, we didn't know what was happening. And I think no matter what, if there's something going on that you don't know about, and it turned out to be a chronic illness, I think it's going to feel isolating no matter what situation, no matter, people feel the help. They will, and help is going to be there for people who are fortunate enough to have important people in their lives. But he, for a few years after that, it progressed so fast. He quickly had to back away from work, was quit from had to leave his full-time job, and had to be taken care of by his wife and mom. And over the span of maybe 2 years at that point. But yeah, he actually, I feel like he was the one that would want to kind of isolate himself, not show up at family gatherings as much, because he couldn't communicate down the road of his, the journey of his illness, of his dystonia. It took them a while to diagnose this as well. It was very mysterious. They thought it was ALS in the beginning, but
what is dystonia? Because a lot of people are asking about what dystonia is. Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, it's a neurological movement disorder. It's like Parkinson's. So there's I think there's nerves in his brain. His brain is sending out waves to his specific muscle groups in his body. For him, and him having dystonia, he's really the only case I've focused on with dystonia. But in his case, he's getting spasms in his back, which forces him to hunch forward. So he can't really straighten out his back. He's getting muscle spasms from in his jaw, and he gets a lot of joint pain and muscle pain. He's lost a ton of weight because of how severe the spasms are, and so I think there's more to it. I don't really know how the brain works in the way I don't know why it's sending those signals, but it's just a movement disorder. Something's not going right up in there.
Yeah. So why did you decide to focus on these 3 people and these diseases that they have?
Sure. Well, I think I kind of set aside the illness for a second and kind of took in what their story was. I didn't really want to focus on the history of each disease or anything.
Right.
I just wanted to see the type of people, what happens to the human spirit in a way, how it gets moved and kind of beaten down by something like this. And Leo has led a much different life. He's a father, and was into health and fitness. Sophia, she's my age, and she was in college until she had to drop out because of Lyme disease, how severe it was. And with Karis, she wanted to make a career out of doing sort of community building, and in South Africa, she had aspirations to help build communities in third world countries and stuff, and give them, more access to education and health and everything. But she obviously couldn't do that with the condition or the state she was in with ankylosing spondylitis. So there's this, huge block or wall in their way, pretty much getting to where they thought they could be.
Right.
So that's the moment in time I wanted to kind of venture into, to investigate and explore. I mean, I'm not really investigating. I'm just kind of
telling a story,
learning along with them.
Yeah.
What it was, what it is now. And
so what similarities do they all share, even though they have different health issues? What did you see as you were filming and learning about all this?
Yeah. Okay. There's definitely similarities, but big differences. With Leo, he's very. I think his stands out a bit more because his is both visible. Actually, it's just visible and painful. They're all painful what they go through.
Right.
But so he manages just with narcotics and then the brain stimulation surgery that he had. And that helped to ease the spasms with the brain signals and everything. They're not, his spasms aren't too bad now. He's much healthier. So there was kind of a build-up with him. With Sophia, hers both Sophia and Karis, they have both visible and invisible diseases. And what I mean is that, like, one day they're they're fine, they're functioning maybe to a better capacity, but a lot of other days they have to be they're bedridden, or they're in pain. They don't want to be seen. They're not mentally functioning well. So and so there's I wanted to highlight that. And obviously you feel for Leo, I think, the most when you see him in the trailer and visually, but then I think I'm also trying to highlight that people can feel as much pain, if not worse pain, if with having an invisible disease too. So there's a lot that I reveal with Karis and Sophia in the film, but so there's a lot to be said about having a visible and invisible illness.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes, I think it's worse because I have an invisible disease, and it's hard because I look normal. Unless if I'm really, really flaring with one of my hives and stuff like that, you really don't see what I'm going through. And if you don't see me, then that means that I'm probably not well. But I think it's a little bit hard sometimes for people dealing with that. I work with a community that, that's all they deal with. And it's hard with the way people treat you and stuff like that. Now, do you talk about that? Like how they see the world and how the world treats them?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Karis and Sophia had a lot to say about that. I think so altogether, like, Leo focuses on how grateful he is for the things in his life, for his family, and for the surgery. And it's very positive. But with Sophia and Karis, I think since theirs is more like hidden. Their illnesses are much different and hidden, like they have a lot to say about what it's like to be isolated, what it's like to lose friends, not have like the crummy relationship that they've had with the prior doctors. Right. Luckily, Sophia has a specialist doctor now who's helped her tremendously. She would not be where she is without him today. So he's given her lots of support and lots of information that is like very relevant to her. But with Karis, so Karis right now, she's taking infusions every 6 to 8 weeks or something at a cancer treatment center. But a lot of people around her have cancer, and not many people know about ankylosing spondylitis. So she has to, people feel empathy for her, but when you say you have ankylosing spondylitis, people are a little bit intimidated. They're like, oh, I don't know what that is. Right.
It's hard to even say.
They're not immediately, they're not immediately empathetic to someone who would have, cancer. So, it's not like we're not trying to put a negative light on other people's experiences, right? But we want to show that like, I think, the overall message is that there's so many people that actually that are grouping together, that want to say that their illnesses should be, validated as much as just because, their ankylosing spondylitis doesn't have as much notoriety or like promotion and stuff. That doesn't mean that that they should still be treated as just for what validation too,
right.
And like research and everything. I don't know. It's just like it's overall awareness, right. And I know that's hard to do, but it's I think it's needed, and people are coming together to try to further that somehow. And so, what better way to do that with a narrative that kind of captures different people in different forms?
Yeah, absolutely.
Push that. So,
What was there anything that really surprised or shocked you that you learned about rare diseases from your subjects within the movie?
yeah. What shocked me was kind of seeing their day to day, I think, which was like the very beginning. Like I wanted to know what it was like to have Lyme disease, to have AS, to have dystonia. I kind of knew dystonia a lot more than I did Lyme and ankylosing spondylitis. I really had like zero knowledge of all this before planning out this documentary. But it was crazy to see Sophia take a number of pills morning, afternoon, and night.
Yeah.
She has to remember when to take them, when not to take them, when to have food with them, and then the protocols she has when Lyme disease flares.
Yeah.
Or when she flares. She has a lot of allergic reactions, so she'll flare so easily to things, to mold, basically, which is everywhere. So that was so surprising to me, because it's like when you have an illness that it becomes your life. And I understand when people say like, this is not, I have this disease, it's not me, it's not my, doesn't define me.
Right.
I think this, like, just focusing on the day to day where they're managing their pain, where when you see Karis go into for infusions, where she's rehabilitating from a day after walking, just simply walking around or something. Maybe she had to run a couple extra errands. And, seeing them rehabilitate after simple things, it's like...
I've always thought of it as like a full-time job. Yeah. Like, I feel
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's like a full-time job to take our medications the way you should. All the doctor appointments you have to go to, all the, rehab, treatments, whatever you're doing. I mean, it really becomes a full-time job, It's a lot.
Exactly. And you become your own professional.
Oh, yeah.
Your own doctor, in a way. Like, you have to figure out in your library of medication what you have to take to just manage the pain, manage whatever. Like, she at times, Sophia will have, when she flares, sometimes, she has like neurological Lyme as well. It's a lot. But she has these symptoms where she can't think, she can't speak.
Yeah.
So she sent me a lot of like footage where she's flaring. Like, her mom was brave enough to kind of just film it for a while and just see it for what it is. And it's crazy because when I'm filming her, she's just like this very smart individual. And then you kind of flip it and juxtapose it with seeing that it's just, night and day. And you would never think you would think that her flaring is like what disability looks like. But disability looks like both. Right. Having both. And that's important to, expand people's minds a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, I completely...
Like, they shouldn't have to live in the dark about it, I guess,
Right. For the people that are healthy, why would they want to go and see this movie? And what would they... what will this kind of show them, and why should they go see it?
Right. I think the angle I'm taking with this is like what if this happens to you? But I'm not making it all like sensational or anything. I'm not sensationalizing it.
I hear a lot like you're only one accident away from this, because you just don't know if like that will trigger something, like an autoimmune issue that, where your body suddenly is in a fight or flight mode and it never goes back. There's a lot of autoimmune issues, diseases that have that. So that makes a lot of sense, I just don't think people always say, well, it couldn't happen to me. It won't happen to me. No, but that's... Yeah,
and it taught them at the most, like, they were realizing their potential, I think, at that time. I mean, when you're in college, you're deciding what you're going to do in life. Right. When you're kind of, like, turning your health around. Like Leo was attending all these marathons. Karis wanted to move to South Africa, but, it's like, it's a testimony to human beings
Yeah.
in our society. Like how does society, how is society going to, what are we going to do pretty much?
Right.
What do people do in this scenario? This is, yeah. And in a way it's like, it's informational, educational in that way about what people do. People, they'll go to support groups, which has helped Karis and Sophia, or they'll connect with people online. Mainly it's all online because it's like accessible, but at the same time it's gonna change everything. So
Would you mind if we took a quick call? We have a caller.
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, caller from area code 601. What's your name and where are you from?
Hello?
Hi, caller from 601. What's your name?
Hello, Janelle. Kevin Mooney.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Fellow pain warrior with you. I mean, just maybe not as good as you are at it, but anyway. That's really been an interesting turn of events for these CMS guidelines. I was curious. Some of it's been changed, and I had noticed in reading in there, there's I'm having a hard time really putting the name on what it is, but it's social based and backed. But the CMS is going to take the research that they harvested off of a study group that studied people that were homeless, low income, and let's see, what was the other? And not dependable transportation. And so they come to the determination that, and they're going to put these for guidelines. If you're poor, if you don't have good transportation, and you don't have stable housing, then you're automatically at risk for opioid abuse. And that is just absurd.
Yeah. No, that is.
It really is.
So
I don't know if anybody is catching that or not, but you know what that means? That means that any pain patient that's not doing fairly well off, they're going to be considered just because of their standing in the community and the money they make.
So are you saying that
they're an addict?
Are they stereotyping? Is that what you're saying? Like they're going to be stereotyping
That's
people?
exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
And using it for their guidelines to judge who's at risk, who's at a higher risk for opioid abuse.
Right. Yeah.
And addiction. Yeah. And so you can have a perfect record, no problems at all. But if you're living on Social Security disability, maybe in well, they went to the homeless too, you know. Which the lady there, she said it backwards. She said, no, yeah. She said, yeah. What happens is they get on the opioids and then they get homeless. No, usually what happens is they wind up homeless and then they get destitute and wind up abusing drugs. They have it all. It's just, I mean, maybe I'm the only one that thinks that way, but that's what it is to me. And so CMS, that is their protocol. But they're taking that study, those percentages, so they're taking that with them into the CMS rules, and that's what they're going to be looking for.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Kevin. Did you have any other
thoughts?
Good.
No, that was it for now. We better leave it at that. But that's the first time I got to call in.
Well,
hello
thank
everybody,
you.
And thank you, Jenny. You do a great job. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Victoria, did any of...
Opioid crisis is also,
what was that?
also a big deal. But yeah, no, the opioid crisis is also a big subject, big topic for sure.
Yeah. Do you cover that? And did the three people, did they say anything about that? Are they having trouble?
Yeah, I think Karis mentions it. I'm still in the process of post-production on it, so it's not quite immediately finished. But yeah, I've filmed everything, so I do remember Karis mentioning about the attitudes around that. But we don't really cover a whole lot around that. But yeah, so this film is actually funded by the U.S. Pain Foundation.
Yeah, I saw
that. They've been really pushing for for people to manage, educating people about about how to manage pain, and you know, they're not trying to say that opioids are like the worst possible thing. Sometimes people need them, and with what's happening in, you know, on the news and everything, it's like, you know, a lot of people don't have cures, and a lot of methods and therapies right now don't touch people's pain. So I mean, with Sophia, she had to take an alternative like therapy or pain management, which we'll cover in the film. We end up going to Death Valley together because it's a dry climate, and it's helped her so much with her pain. And it's not this kind of stuff like with supplements and maybe, you know, going into an environment where it can kind of sterilize or help with pain. It's not covered by, you know, insurance companies. It's not even talked about.
Right.
It's not, you know, it's not on people's agenda. But, you know, with this film, it's so there's so many dimensions to this to the film, and it kind of, I would say it's a comprehensive guide to what chronic illness is and what people go through and what therapies should be available. And you know, it's for some people, like, luckily Sophia doesn't need something as potentially harmful as opioids, but some people do, and you can't blame that person, you know.
Yeah.
So Paris validates that as well.
Yeah, there's actually there's 25 to 26 million patients out there right now that have rare and painful diseases that actually need opioids in order to have any type of quality of life, you know, or else they'll be bedridden. And right now, currently, 5 to 6 million of them have been taken off their medications, and it's going to get a lot worse here. But I do know, you know, there's a lot of people advocating and standing up and starting to listen, you know, to and instead of, because I think in the beginning they kind of bunched people with addicts, and now it's kind of, you know, we're trying to get out there and shift and get that you know, tone of the conversation changed, because it just seems that there was a lot of myths and lies and confusion that has been put out instead of the facts. So, and I know actually what Kevin was talking about, they have a lot of these studies out there, and it, you know, for example, the CDC just came out saying that they inflated numbers actually with some of their testing. So, yeah, so that's not good. I mean, how can you make laws, base laws?
Unacceptable.
Right. How can you base laws, though, off of something that, you know, they made up the information within the studies. So, yeah.
I heard that there's a Don't Punish Pain rally coming up, I think on April 7th.
Yeah, I think it's this weekend.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to, like, show up and see support. I know it's hard for people to even do that, but I think it's, I hope it picks up more in Sacramento. I heard there was going to be one, but
I know that they're doing it at the state houses. I'm not sure if it's in every state, but it's in most of them. And then at the end of the month, April 23rd through the 26th, Washington, D.C., there's a pain patients advocacy rally going on. And actually, I'll be speaking in front of the Congress at that on the 25th. But yeah, and I know a lot of people are working really hard on those too. So I'm really proud of this community, you know, for standing up and speaking out, because so many people are so sick, and it's very hard for them to do that. But you know, this is the first time since I've been dealing with my stuff for 24 years. This is the first time I've ever seen patients that have really severe diseases actually come out of the woodwork and get up and actually do stuff. So, you know, I am very proud of them. And when you were talking about, you know, how the three people in your movie, you know, how they've learned to cope and stuff like that, it's very hard. You know, you don't get a playbook when you first have this, and it's so life-changing. It you know, it really is difficult. So
Right.
I'm really...
I'll be cheering you on when I see it.
Well, I'm so thankful that you've done this. I wanted to ask you, so from the time that the movie was thought, like, when it was just like a thought that you were like, I want to make a movie on this, did the movie change direction from the beginning into the end at all?
Yeah. I think with their stories, yeah.
How so?
So, yeah. Let me think. With Sophia, actually, so it was, I think not a lot was happening at a certain point because I've covered so much about her. And so it was like, I think it was like Mother's Day where I kind of caught her just spending time with family and everything. But all of a sudden, like, I thought that was going to be our last shoot potentially. But all of a sudden, she had, in like a week or two later, she told me like something new is happening in her with Lyme disease. She wanted to talk to me about it in front of the camera. And so I was like, okay, I'll come over. And so I did. And she her and her mom shared with me that they had a whole emergency room visit. She had pain in a very different spot, and it was in her rib cage, I believe, or her lungs. It was hard for her to breathe. It just felt like there was like a ton of weight on her, and I forget if this was a seizure. I don't want to say it was, but anyway, she was screaming in pain, and they had to take her to the emergency room. So there's like pretty much something new came about, and I think she was thinking it was POTS, but I think now it's a new symptom that's coming along, and and so that happened. But then also there, with the bad came the good. She thought it was time to revisit college, and there's plenty of there's a few junior colleges here, and so she wanted to kind of get back into it. So in her story, it takes a bad and good turn, but really it's just kind of just following them for what their needs are, what they want to show.
Right.
I think overall.
Did you notice if because when your health gets like this, I mean, your whole life is changed and you can't do the things that you wanted to do. Did you notice that everybody in this, were they able to kind of start finding new loves and likes in their life? Like, because you were just saying, I think it was Sophia, she's going to go back to college. I think that's amazing. Did anybody else do anything like that?
Right. With Karis, she just gets opportunities to speak. I think she's realizing that her new path is to be just raising awareness, be kind of an instrument for spondylitis altogether. And to her journey is more. It's not like it's not like she's thinking about her new well, it is. I guess it is a new strategy, but it's not anything she really wanted. But she's kind of like realizing like this new lifestyle, and it kind of happened before this film, but she kind of goes into explaining that her father actually has had AS, so she inherited it from him. And with her, I think her journey kind of became, with the film, actually kind of became like there was some kind of like progress there with how she felt about her dad. She kind of like began to accept it a bit more. It's not like by the end of the film, they're all doing these amazing like they're overcoming it. They're not, but they're kind of coping and changing kind of their own perspectives on life, and I'm sort of capturing that, and it kind of a huge difference, but you'll have to see the film to kind of like understand it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you learn from directing and making Becoming Incurable?
What did I learn?
Yeah.
I learned so much. I learned how, I guess, ableist our society is. I don't mean to trigger anybody, but it's like there's not a lot of access for people in the disability community to be involved in society more. Like, we make these spaces accessible for people who are healthy, you know.
Right.
Going to the park, going out, and expecting a certain work ethic, you know. Expecting to meet, you know, be going to meetings and constantly be doing all these things. There's kind of a void, I feel, right now, in a sense that, like, we're not making that space for people like that. People like me, I didn't realize how much of a detriment it could be for someone simply to, like, for people, my subjects, to meet somewhere. You know, I'm always meeting them, but in the future, it's like, what if they can't meet up with me? I need to kind of like figure out how I meet up with them, because it's, you know, it's not always going to be the case where they're just going to be they're having a good day, you know.
Right.
So,
right. Well, did you even have to like go around their schedule to film? Like, did you have to change things during filming to
not
help them?
really, yeah. Well, yes and no. I think in the beginning, I wanted to capture everything, but I think with Leo and his wife, they were just sort of easing into it. So at first they didn't, you know, want to show everything, but I was kind of building a relationship with them and building trust, like, hey, it's okay. I was pretty much at everyone's whim to come over. You know, that was the whole point. Because I'm capturing them. I don't need to capture them anywhere else than where they are.
Right.
And so I'm at their house a lot, or I'm at a meeting. I think Karis did a lot of like public speaking stuff, so an activism type of work. So we kind of see her at these different environments, but then, you know, a lot of the time they're back at home recovering.
Right. Right. There's a question from YouTube. They want to know, when and where can we watch this? It sounds great.
So right now we're in post-production for the film, and we'll be getting it, pushing it out to film festivals later this year.
Okay.
So next year would be the like official theatrical like release and like everything. We'll certainly update people once that happens. But next year, you know, more.
So
details
2019. Gotcha. Yeah.
2019, Becoming Incurable.
Alrighty. So what was the main purpose to direct and produce a film like this? What do you want your audience to take away from when they go and see this?
I wanted people to take away that we need to be in a more inclusive society. I've felt that way because as a filmmaker, indie filmmaker, you know, not everyone is going to be very inviting to your ideas and stories and stuff. And so I think I guess I just connected. I connect with them on that level. Like, not everyone's going to want to learn about dystonia right away, or AS, or Lyme disease. But with a story, we can build a bridge to get there. So I just want people to, you know, engage in these conversations and validate, and, you know, thus validate chronic pain, because that's so needed right now. People, it's hard for people to speak and vocalize for themselves other than being on, you know, like online, because it's just hard to bring those things up. It's very personal, but also like, like not everyone gets that opportunity to change people's opinions, especially when it sometimes, I guess, especially when it comes to healthcare. That's like a whole, and whenever I talk about like chronic pain and someone brings up healthcare, it leads to a whole other conversation. I'm just like, wait, hold on, back up. Like, let's just talk about the experience of that. And maybe we can, talk about building a better, just a better, maybe a better system if we can talk about the experience of chronic pain and pain management and stuff. Because like a third of America has one or more chronic conditions, so it's affecting everyone and their, like everyone's at least, an extension. If someone's family is healthy, they'll at least know someone who isn't healthy, or someone in their family probably isn't healthy, but they don't know it. So it's bringing both invisible and visible diseases, I guess, together, and kind of helping people, being that extension for people to say it's okay to talk about it, and we're going to help you talk about it, because you shouldn't deserve to, like, you shouldn't have to do it all on your own.
Right. Okay, so people dealing with health issues like Lyme disease, dystonia, AS, what important advice can you share with those that don't have health issues that you learned from this?
Wait, what was the question again?
Okay, so people like that are dealing with the issues like the Lyme disease, dystonia, and AS. What important advice can you share that you learned from doing this and being around these people? What can you share with people that don't have these issues? What advice or what's something that you think that they need to know that you can tell them?
That. So for healthy people.
Yeah.
That, I guess, even though these diseases, dystonia, Lyme, and AS, although they're kind of unheard of and maybe a little bit marginal on the in the disease world, I guess, that they, these conditions matter. It matters that we don't have a cure yet. It matters that they go through this, and it takes a lot of understanding, I guess, to, it just takes being there for someone to make all the difference for this community, and to help show and share what illness, what they're going through. So, yeah, I just hope there's more accessibility for these, the type of pain that they go through, and like, and therapy and stuff. I hope these people have more access to the therapies and all that. I guess this is me. I'm just talking about what I want.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, I mean, no, you're right on. I mean, I think everybody wants that, and you made that makes sense. I mean, a lot of people just want to be heard, and so sometimes listening is just like something that, would be nice if everybody would listen, or at least some people would listen.
Right.
Will you be making more films like this, or what's in the future? What are you wanting to do next?
It's definitely open to conversation. Like I'm thinking there's a lot of topics to cover, I think, that do interest me. But I think I want to determine what to do next after the momentum of this film, and what would be the right topic or the right project to do after this. I think it still would be related to chronic illness. Because I feel like I've built so many like relationships in this community now. It's like I think there's more to explore that people aren't really exploring at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
If people want to find out more about this, where can they go to find that? I know we put some stuff up on the website, but...
Well, we're all over social media, so Becoming Incurable, you can find us using those two words on Facebook, On Twitter, we're at Incurable Films. On Instagram, we're Becoming Incurable. And we have our website as well. And we have a newsletter that people can sign up for on there so that they can just keep up with our progress and everything. And right now we've pulled off a crowdfunding campaign, but we're actually still in it. But we reached 100% funding goal.
That's
so
awesome.
That happened like 2 days ago. But we have 9 days left, and I think there's still some potential to help out because we're actually wanting to qualify for a grant that's happening through Seed and Spark, which is the crowdfunding platform.
Okay.
But there's a grant going on, and if we reach 1,000 followers on Seed and Spark, which is free to do and only takes a minute, like we could potentially, we potentially would have, could bring Becoming Incurable more to the larger public.
Okay, so like more mainstream. Yeah.
All these things and promotional and stuff. Like there's like a lot of potential for our film if we do achieve this grant. So getting more followers would be amazing.
Okay.
But people can, follow us everywhere. We have our website, and I'm always trying to be as responsive to people as I can, so they can always connect with me.
Okay. Well, everybody in our audience, you heard that. So I know I sent out stuff everywhere. So if you see that, if you wouldn't mind going in, and it's a crowd seeding, correct? Is that what it's called? Or seed and, what is it?
Yeah, crowdfunding. It's the website is Seed and Spark, but
Seed and Spark.
People, I can send you the link. So
yeah, I have it up, and I know I put it everywhere. But so anybody listening, if you wouldn't mind going in there, just hit, I think it's follow on there, right? And then it will ask for your name and your email address, and it's free. And if you wouldn't mind sharing that, let's see if we could get you a grant. That would be awesome. Because, the more we could bring, the more awareness that we could bring to this, and especially a film. I mean, that's huge. So that would be amazing. Again, you said this is going to be coming out in 2019. You're not sure when yet, correct?
Not when, but I'm hoping like early 2019.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to wrap up here, but was there anything else that you wanted to share about something that you're doing, about the film, about the people in it?
Well, no, I guess I'll just keep people updated about it. I'm just, in crowdfunding mode, mostly gathering follower mode, so that's pretty much it. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for asking all these questions and helping me to kind of like explain what this is all about. And I hope I did well.
No, you did great. No, and thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing a film like this. We don't get a lot of these. In fact, I don't. Do you know of any other films that have come out like this? Because I don't know of any.
Right. Unrest was really good. That one premiered at Sundance. It was about chronic fatigue syndrome. But yeah, other than that, there was one about Lyme disease. But it was, these two films were just about their own, the specific chronic illness. But I don't think there's been one where it was like more yet that I've seen. But yeah.
Well, again, thank you for coming on. We'll have to have you on again when it comes out, and we can talk more about this then. So.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Well, Con Nation, I just want to let you know also next week we will be having reruns. Dr. Klein is out of the country. And then April 18th, that's the following Wednesday, Kate Nicholson will join us. Kate is a civil rights attorney, and she advocates for the chronic pain community. Also, April 23rd to the 26th, I will be in Washington, D.C. for the Pain Patients Advocacy Week. If you'd like to donate towards this, you can at AmericanPainInstitute.org. Thank you for joining us, Con Nation. I appreciate all your questions, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks.
Conspiracies Against Wellness with your host, Janelle Elgaway. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and callers, and not necessarily those of EXG LLC, its employees, or sponsors. Copyright 2018 by EXG LLC. All rights reserved.